Good morning. You all here? Well, me, unfortunately, from Melina. Just my host, Leo. Is everything okay? The mic? Okay. First of all, thank you very much for joining here. We are here today to talk about blended learning, flipped classrooms, distance learning, and how an LMS can help. I'm Daniela Meyer. I'm Cambridge University Press. I'm an academic consultant with Cambridge University Press, and it's a pleasure to have you all here. I realize everybody, teaches as we are always very, very busy, so it's a pleasure to have you here with us. Before we actually get started, let's just see if you understand how you can get my attention, how you can ask a question. If it's your first time attending a webinar, or you have already done that, but it's going to be really quick. Do you see on the side of your screen, one that says participants, another says chat, then you have Q&A and PP notes. Have you? Only Melina saying yes. How about everybody else? You need to click on chat. I'm saying Danubia saying, yeah, okay. So if you click on chat, it shows you a menu that you can send to. So in this case, you're going to send to me, host and presenter. I'm the presenter. In Sao Paulo is the host. He's helping me with the technical support. So in case you want to ask a question, when I say, do you have any questions? It's not just rhetorical. Do you have questions? So if you want to ask a question, you click on chat, and it opens up a little box for you to send me a question. Okay? You want to? It's great to have you here. Okay. Yeah, a few more highs. Hello, Sandra and Denise. Great to have you all here. Right. Panelist, I'm the panelist. Or to the host and presenter, I'm also the presenter. Or you could choose to send only to me. Or it's better if you send to me, to the host or presenter. So during the course of the session, hello, Marisa. Well, it seems several of you at least have already understood the feature in this case. So let's get going. If you need any technical, another one. Hello, Daniela from Sylvia. Hello, Sylvia. Great to have you. But feel free to ask me a question either when I tell you that, do you have any questions, or when you don't understand something. Okay? The first we're going to do is a warm-up. Warm-up is going to be these terms. Can you find blended learning, flipped classroom, distance learning, and minute to yourself to define these four terms? Would you be able to explain them to a colleague? To yourself or talk to me. If you're attending this session with someone else, it's okay to talk to your colleague who's next to you. Terms that you can see on the slide. Make sure you send me, Leo to help you. we can see, which is good. Excellent. Okay, then. So imagine I'm going to ask you, how would you define blended learning? How would you define flipped classroom, LMS? What are the similarities? What are the differences? What are the benefits for our learners and for ourselves? And before we actually go into the definitions themselves, this is our agenda for the hour we have together. We're first going to go through this warm-up to think about your definitions. Then I'm actually going to propose some of my definitions and some of the literature's definitions. I'm going to go through some explanations. I'll give you some examples from one of our classes at Cambridge with time for question and answers. And if there's some extra time, I have something else planned. We as teachers always have to have something up our sleeves, don't we? We know if we're going to have some extra time at the end of the class, and we don't want to sit there looking at students, right? I have definitions about distance learning, blended learning, flipped classrooms, and LMS. See how they compare to what I'm going to propose. I'm going to start with distance learning. Why? Because it is the exact opposite of a face-to-face class. When we have students in the same room with us, which is the most, perhaps still the most common setup, face-to-face classroom. Distance learning is the exact opposite, is when the teacher doesn't ever see the students. Everything is done through distance. Nowadays, it's obviously done through computer, tablets, phones, anything. Yes, if you're as old as I am, you will remember that we had these correspondence courses. It was the same thing. It was distance learning, only that the technology was different, right? You would send a to the institution that was hosting the course. You would enroll, and you would get all the material through mail. This learning is still like that. Only the medium has changed, right? We don't use the mail anymore. We don't write letters. We don't get the course that the mailman gives us. But it's the same concept. The learners get the content via this case, the internet or an LMS or something, and then they learn at distance, and they sometimes interact with the teacher all through the computer. Distance learning, if you need to. Would then be sitting in the middle. Remember I said we have face-to-face classroom, our regular classroom at one end of the continuum, then distance learning, which is at the other end of the continuum. They are exact opposites. And then we have blended learning. It's learning that blends two different types of things together, as the name already says. What kinds? What types? It would be a mixture of face-to-face and distance learning. Blended learning is anything that is in the middle. It's not 100% face-to-face, and it's not 100% distance learning. It's that is in the middle. So there are several possibilities of blended learning where students or the learners are going to have some face-to-face time and some to happen through Twitter or without it face-to-face. Is that these terms? Okay, since she has asked the question, I'm going to believe her. The flipped classroom. We've talked about this before when I was in Itabuna recently. Many of you know, because this has been talked about very frequently, right? So lots of the flipped classroom, and we can flip our classrooms. And what does that mean? Are you heard of the Khan Academy? The concept of flipped classroom. And he used to fund analyst. You know, he worked with a financial and created the Academy. Familiar with that? Anybody? Anybody here with Sam and Can besides Yannick? If that, and send me a yes. Yes, I know him. Yes, I have heard about him. Okay. Okay, another I have never heard of any about him. Perhaps I saw this cover of Asia some time ago. This is Salmon Can. Here in the world. So we're talking about him as well here in Brazil. Be asking yourself, so why? What does that have to do with the flipped classroom? Well, Salmon Can is the one that created the Khan Academy. What's Khan Academy? It's a collection of educational videos that are available on YouTube. It started because Salmon was two nephews, and he was in Boston, and they were living in New York, if I'm not mistaken. Them as if it were face to face, only that he was in Boston and they were in New Orleans, but they would log on at the same time through Skype or FaceTime something. He would teach them, he would help them with the classroom in school, also recording himself while doing this, and he decided to put the videos on YouTube for anybody who might be interested to watch. So it happened. His nephews, I think it was his nephew and niece or his cousins, I'm not sure. They actually preferred the YouTube video, real person. So these teenagers preferred to watch the video that he recorded with the explanations instead of having a real-time conversation with him where he was explaining as a teacher and they were behaving as regular learners. So that got him thinking, interesting. Why is it that they prefer to watch the video and they to be talk to me? And then he has some explanations. He figured that it was because when you are teaching someone something for the first time, it is very unpleasant to have the teacher keep asking you, do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Maybe you don't understand, but you don't be the one that says, no, I don't understand. Can you repeat, please? So you also notice that lots of people on YouTube started watching his educational videos and started sending him notes and comments on YouTube saying, oh, this is excellent, this is fantastic, I finally understand decimals, or I finally understand derivatives, or that you had to leave. Bye-bye. Anyway, so Salmon had this huge answer from the internet, and he understood that it would be appropriate, or it would be to have the lectures, teaching of the content be done through the sessions at home. Students would come to class to practice or to get the teacher to clarify. So the flipped classroom started, and you can know a bit more. It's a 20-minute YouTube video. Actually, it was a TED Talk, and it's called Let's Reinvent Education by Sam and Can. You want to know a bit more of the details? It's basically what I just explained and a little bit more. If you want to watch the 20 minutes, you can watch just the first 7 minutes. It gives you a very good idea. Khan Academy, as is known, has a huge collection of educational videos, so that it's used by millions of people in the world, including the public schools here in Brazil, as you saw by the cover of Asia. This is the concept that is being known as the flipped classroom. Why flipped? Because we changed things around, right? We, instead of explaining to students in class, they are to listen to the explanation at home, and then they can listen as many times as they need. They can go back to class, and the teacher help them with exercises, with the practice, with the practical application of this of the concepts or the content. Think now. Academy include video English. Are there English classes at Academy? Sam and Can is from the United States, and so are his cousins. So they all speak English. They don't necessarily need English explanations. Next question, as you see on the slide, is before I go to the next question, there are videos of algebra, geometry, geography, history, science, everything that you can think of, but not English as a foreign language or English as a second language. We go on to the second question that you see on the slide. You can use this idea in your English classroom, and he said, so explanation becomes homework, and what used to be homework is going to be done in class. I'm unsure from Danubia. That are out there. Do you do something like this? Do you flip the whole English classroom, or and the resources we have nowadays and all the opportunities and all the possibilities? Do you, for example, you can ask your students at one unit, you get your students to go home and the vocabulary for the next unit, and then come back to class, and you're going to practice and use the vocabulary. Good. Speaker. Music series with songs. Denise Gallardo is yes, Sylvia. Okay, but so songs are excellent ideas in series. Danu said yes as a private teacher, but maybe not in Brazilian public schools. It depends, you know. It's just it's a change of paradigm. Trying to focus on here today is not just songs and series. I'm talking about the real content of the unit. Can you ask the students to go home and try to figure out on their something, the real content of the unit? That would be a flipped classroom. But do it. $4,000 question. In this, let me go to get to that. How can you do it? Of course, you could do it on your own, but if you have help, it's going to be easier, right? Thinking about that, we'll get to that answer. Oh, I'm going to ask you to think about the similarities and differences. I explained a little bit about the terms, right? What blended learning is, what flipped classroom is, and what distance learning is. Similarities. Do you see differences between learning, flipped classroom, and distance learning? Self, or talk to a colleague if you were attending this with a friend or a colleague. What are the differences between learning, flipped classroom, and distance learning? What about the LMS? Is it the same as the flipped classroom? True. But I will. Just a minute. Not exactly the same, Yane. For Melina is saying that the same is that we are using media in all three. Yes. Is that the amount of content is higher than in normal class? It can be. Yes. It doesn't have to be, but free. It can be. You? In terms you that media is used, right? Because as I said, let me see. Picture that I like very much that is very helpful, I think, and I hope you agree, for us to understand this continuum. So one end of the continuum is the yellow part, as you see there in the slide, are the face-to-face lessons. The regular face-to-face lessons where we as teachers have one student, if we're teaching privately, or have several students in the classroom, and we do everything in there, right? End of the continuum is the distance learning. The students learn everything and practice and produce and learn the whole English language away from the teacher, user as the medium. This is in between. So you have the blended learning. Blended learning can be 25% of blended learning. It can be 50% of face-to-face classes and 50% using an LMS or a computer. In between would be heard of online workbooks. Are you using online workbooks? Saying yes. Some people are saying not using, but some people are saying yes. I am using. I have done in class. So an online workbook is one kind of blended learning, right? Because in the media, students are doing some learning outside the classroom, not necessarily face to face. So I hope you have an idea of what the similarities and the differences between flipped classroom and distant learning is. So here I come, LMS and the Touchstone blended course exactly. So you know what we're talking about. So what's LMS? Not yet using an LMS. Are you familiar with this terminology? LMS is a learning management system. Right, and it's a system that helps manage student learning. A platform, a site that you have access to, and so your students. And for example, Cambridge has several LMSs. It's called the Cambridge Learning Management System, Cambridge LMS. So we have a system that will help students do either distance learning or blended learning. I believe we would say that the flipped classroom can be a kind of blended learning, right? To include learning and some learning face or some practicing face to face. So an LMS is the medium, is a tool that is going to help you teachers go let's say either distance learning or a robust blended learning. You can do it without the LMS, but that's another that would be a session. Benefits of having an LMS, a learning management system. We're going to have some blended learning. They're going to be working on their learning outside the classroom. The benefits are that students can work at their own pace. They go back to whichever point of or whichever lesson they feel that they want or need. They can watch the explanations again. Remember what happened to Sam and Can's cousins? That they preferred, having him on video explaining the content being in front of him. Kind of thing that what the students can do. So it enhances students' autonomy because they're going to be working at their own pace. They're going to be learning the content at their own pace using an LMS. Get an LMS, the answers to exercises are immediately corrected because on the computer, so the technology helps. So students get immediate feedback on their answers of exercises. Teachers and students also interact via digital tools. We have voice tools as well, right? Learning a language, voice tools are absolutely necessary. And we can also verify students' progress, know who is doing what at what time, how long they took, how many times they tried, and can also control the content. Of course, the content in a Cambridge management system is ordered by Cambridge, but the teacher can control when this content is going to be available or when content is going to be available. So teacher has control of everything as if it were a regular classroom. Only it's not a physical classroom. It is a digital classroom. Again, you can use an LMS either as blended learning, so part of the learning would be done and in class, or you can use an LMS as distance learning. 100% of the learning is done online, and this is going to be interacting with the learners via digital tools. Okay. Did you now to my okay, Melina? Okay, you understand what the LMS is? Oh, all right, good. So in this case, well, how do you do all of this? That previous slide, right? Pace, get us to go back to whichever pointer they want or need. You want to start your own private academy where you're going to record videos of everything that you want to teach, and then students are going to go home and watch those videos. You need a robust LMS. A robust LMS, a learning management system, can help you. And what means? What do a robust LMS? In our case, I'm going to give you an example based on Touchstone Second Edition. Second Edition is a series that Cambridge has had for some time now. I think it was originally published in 2006. It's our say it's one of our greatest books because we have lots of very interesting series. But I'm just going to use this as an example. So how many of you are familiar with Touchstone, with the book? You have heard about it or you're using it? Good. Mike was saying I use them. Great, Michael. Also and also uses them. That is saying that you have heard but you've never used. Anyway, it's important to know about Touchstone. I'm just going to use Touchstone as an example. Forgive me for doing so, but I need to use one of the series and the book and the LMS that I am familiar with. Version, right? Student book, workbook, book, everything that we are used to, and that is used in face-to-face classrooms, right? Are not familiar with Touchstone, the features. Complete these lines see on the screen, and again, yeah, purpose-informed strategies. There are the answer to this one. Piane is correct, but she's already using it. Blended learning, not really. You have to know them because you're not users of Touchstone. So Touchstone is corpus informed. It includes inductive learning, so participation and trying to understand the rules by the information, what the common errors of students are, so that they avoid those common errors. And there are conversation strategies. Conversation strategies are my favorite. I will quickly tell you what corpus informed is because I suspect you don't all understand that. Am I correct? I think I got one yes from Melina. Okay. Of A. Okay. It's a huge collection of words, phrases, sentences in English. English words, phrases, and sentences. So it's like a database. The Cambridge International Corpus is a database of English. So put everything that we find in terms of written English in the computer. And we put a lot of conversations, spoken English in the computer. I am simplifying or oversimplifying this, okay? I hope you forgive me, but it's for pedagogical purposes. Huge database of language, of English in a computer, but spoken. We can then right? And when we analyze this language, this means that the touch and everything that is in Touchstone in terms of conversation did not spring from the author's mind and intentions, but from the information that we learned analyzing all the language that is spoken in North America or in England. So, for example, Touchstone uses American English. Right? Touchstone is American English. So when the authors were preparing the diet and everything, they looked at the corpus and they analyzed, okay, so which phrases are more frequent? Which are used in these situations? Which words are more common? Which are used in specific conversation moments? So this was taken then from the corpus and not only from the author's mind and intuition. So this means that it's more authentic because we are looking at the way people actually use the language and then we're replicating that in Touchstone. you're interested about Touchstone and all of these features, we could talk about that later. You can contact me and we can talk about that afterwards, because the purpose here is really for you to understand the all the blended learning, distance learning, etc. About the conversation strategies, it's also based on the corpus, but different than most other series, because we students from book one how to use conversation strategies in such as when people want to think, we speakers of the language. So if we're talking to each other and I want to think, I go, well, let's think. Learners never actually learn that briefly. Beginner students tend to say because is the Portuguese think, but it doesn't work in English, right? So then students would be learning how to use, well, let me think, as a conversation strategy as part of the units. So this is to give you an idea of let's move. These are examples of Touchstone pages. You see, there are 4 lessons per unit. So you have lesson A before there's a lesson B here with the grammar, a lot of inductive learning because we ask students to figure things out and notice. Here are the common errors that I mentioned. So these little panels that show students, look, this is a common mistake, avoid this. Based on the corpus. We have a corpus, which is a collection of all the Cambridge examinations. So we know which are more frequent. And we have the lesson C, which is a conversation strategy lesson, as I mentioned. So students learn from the beginning that, you're supposed to ask questions in 2 ways, or else it becomes like a police interrogation, right? Imagine I ask you, what's your name? What's your last name? Where do you live? Where do you go to school? This is police interrogation. We ask, what's your name? I mean, what do you go by? It's very common for Americans to use 2 questions with I mean in the middle. So these kinds of things are taught in the strategies lesson. Do you know what is about? Okay, can't get to work well. Michael is saying that the previous version of Touchstone did not have the common errors part. You're absolutely right. This is for the new edition. To our on things online. So then a lot of flexibility. Remember my slide where it went from yellow to blue? One end of the continuum, you could have the whole series and teach everything, as a regular face-to-face class. 100% print, student book and workbook, and there's the teacher's book and blah, blah, blah. Or you can go Touchstone Online, 2nd edition, and do it 100% online. We Cambridge Learning Management System, the LMS, the LMS for Touchstone Online. Be what? If we were to use 100% online, would it be blended learning, a flipped classroom, or distance learning? This other end of the continuum, the 100% online. Yes, Michael, you're right. Yes. And this blended learning or flipped classroom? When you contact with the learners at all. Yes, distance learning, right? Yes. Right. Remember we said that this learning is when you never, of course, you see them if you're doing some sort of synchronous chat or using FaceTime or Skype, but you never see the students face to face, physically see them. So the Touchstone Online Second Edition LMS allows you to do that and anything else in between. You don't have to use the LMS or Touchstone Online Second Edition only for distance learning. You can use it for blended learning or flipped classrooms or anything else in between. I'll show of this LMS of the second edition. Why do we think it's special, this specific LMS? Very rich. It matches the student's book, but it's not just the pages. It has all the explanation, all the video, you know, the Khan Academy. It has all the little video and the explanations. It has audio activities. It suggests role play. Students can record themselves. It has games. As you could see on the slide, it has animated language presentations, so the students can watch them over and over again, or only once if they get it immediately. So it's all very clearly organized so that the students watch the language presentation and then they move on to activities. It has blogs and forums for students and teachers to engage in genuine communication, and also they can engage in communication amongst themselves. It has class management tools such as grade books, calendars, announcements, and a lot more. All heard of Moodle? Heard of Moodle? Moodle, Moodle. Yes, I got one yes from Danubia, from Lucas. Okay, Juvia. Okay, Moodle is also an LMS. It's an LMS that is free or almost free online. But the difference between Moodle and Touchstone Online Second Edition is the content. On Moodle, of these tools, but you have to include your own content. So you would have to be the salmon can of your Moodle, and you would have to record the language presentations. You would have to create the exercises and all of that. You may do, I'm sure you can, but if you choose to use an LMS that is already pretty, then already there. You just have to organize or call how you want your students to use that. You have the difference? I hope the chat. Yes, from Michael. An example from Touchstone. This is an LMS, right? Management system. So a system that is going to help students learning. This would be your classroom. Okay, I haven't explained to you how one joins this this platform, but it's really easy. There's a little raspadinha, you know, where you scratch off the code on the cover of the student's book, and then you get the code and you join. Very simple. But you as a teacher, you would see this thing that I'm showing you, and you notice that we're using this first tab here on the left, class home. So classroom. You can see what the content is. You see all the little tabs on top. Immediate Touchstone Second Edition online course. Class home. Your students are told what to do next. Your students know what their activities are. You have forums where you interact with students. Blogs, class calendar, and announcements. So this would be your classroom. Okay? You meet with your students and you tell them what to do next, what the activities are. Folks to interact. You have the class calendar to tell them what they have to be there to interact with you if you want to do that. You have announcements. This is your it's all been organized for you by Cambridge, by the Touchstone authors. that you can see it better, the to-do, next, and my activities, and the forums. Some of these forums are pre-populated by Cambridge, which means they already have some suggestions of questions to ask and activities to do, and you can include your own. When you're teaching with the print book, yes, you have everything that's in the book, but sometimes you include your own, or include our own things, right? After you've seen the classroom, which is your classroom. Oh, I focused on this part here for you to see what it looks like. You see the blogs, there's a calendar, there are the announcements. You can tell the students, make sure you finish Unit 3 by September 7th or any two. To content. You know that the tab that I'm highlighting is the one that says content, class home, which was your classroom. Looking at the content, right? Here you have all the units. I'm just showing you Unit 1 and Unit 2 of Touchstone Second Edition, Level 2, but all the units. And where it says Show All, this is where you get to see all the lessons of the unit and all the activities. And you see that there's 11% of Unit 1 has already been finished. Okay? This is me behaving as a student for you to this. So let's look at the content. Accessing the LMS per se, because we never know if these things are going to work when we're using the internet. So I have these print screens here for you. You can look at a unit and see every little thing that Touchstone has shows up in the LMS. So you can go, by page and look at every exercise. Here is an explanation how to use to and either, right? An animated language presentation to understand how to use to and either. So it here under grammar that it says watch and listen to the presentation, take notes. So this is the sort of education video. They're going to watch this until they understand how to use to and either. There are several examples, once or twice or 3 times, or they can go back when they forget. It's there for them to look at. See that there are possibilities here on top to 8. They can figure it out. They can go to 3B on the right-hand side. And top here, there are also navigation. They can go and ask a question such as, help, I don't understand this business of to and either. Who knows or who can explain anything? Okay. Of what in terms of the course, right? You get, look, the person finished has done 100% of the Unit 3 and everything. Exercise. So you know how this works in an LMS. You're familiar with the print book. You know how to do exercises in book. How does it work in a learning management system? So the exercise. You notice that it has a hint here on the picture. It also has a help button on top. Students have to match the correct responses with the statements. You see, better look at the whole exercise, and after they do that, they get immediate feedback. Remember, I mentioned that was one of the benefits of using an LMS or blended learning or distant learning, immediate feedback. So, of course, they made a few mistakes there. So they get the score. It tells them what happens. They can either correct their answers or submit answers like this. They also have the opportunity to ask the system, show them the answers. They can start again and thinking, but if they just see the answers, then what's the point? Well, if they see the answers often enough, then they are going to learn, right? And you see here at the bottom that there are number 2 and 3. So there are 3 exercises of this type just in this and on this item. You mentioned that there's more content in the LMS because there's a lot. And something else for you to look at is the teacher's guide. Notice that we went from, first we looked at the class home, which is the tab that is your classroom. Then we take a look at the contents because of time constraints. Then now I am highlighting the tab that says resources. So the teacher's guide there for you teachers. This is for you teacher to look at. The students don't get to see the teacher's guide. Is available for you. Oh, reference tab to say, oh, how did this work again? I don't remember. This is available for both teachers and students. Do you see on top the black bar? Two tabs, actually 4 tabs, but one says My Teaching and the other says My Learning. My Teaching is obviously for teaching. Learning is the tab for students. If you are a student, or you still not see everything that you see, right? But this part, My Teaching, because you're all teachers. That I mentioned before. So there are forums, there are blogs, you can have announcements, there's a wiki, a portfolio. All of these are tools to emulate the classroom situation, right? And as I have also said before, I think some of these forums and blogs are pretty populated by Cambridge with suggestions of ideas, activities, topics, and you can also create your own. Here on these tabs is the grade book. The grade book is excellent because one of the benefits of using an LMS is that the students get instant feedback, and you teacher, you don't have to take papers home to correct or anything. All their exercises are immediately corrected, but you have control. Remember, I said you can check students' progress and you can see their progress, you can control the content, so you get to see the grade book, like class details and the student overview. I view now, so it says students details. I have their username. These are 2 very lazy students. They haven't even started. So I have 0% done. But the time they spent, when was their last access, and take a quick look here in this black box here with legend, all the different things you can do. So you can decide whether to include an item in the grade calculation or not. You can add a comment. You can tell them what the learning outcome is. Or you can check what you think the learning outcome is. You can see how many attempts the specific student tried, how many times he tried 1 or 2 exercises. To wrap up, benefits of this specific LMS, that, as I said, can be used for distance learning 100% online, and we have some clients that have been doing this with pick Touchstone Online, and it's a success. And you can also use it as blended learning. Like the students come to class, work with you, and do some parts at home. Here's some other benefits of Touchstone Online. So it is fast to load. It works on multiple browsers and devices, Android and iOS. Very simple and obvious navigation. Students can go back to where they left off. So when they, join, don't have to figure out where they were. Teach hide certain activities or content if you feel you need to do that. We have games, and games are very challenging, and we provide activities, of productive activities to use in class. So if you want to do the CAN Academy blending sort of thing, you ask the students to go home, the Touchstone Online LMS, learn some of the content, and then when they come back to class, then they are going to do the language, and we suggest some ideas for these practice and productive activities. I of the details of the Touchstone LMS, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what are the possibilities that you have. And time, so it's almost 11 o'clock. Online second edition. You contact me after the session is over, and we can give you a code that comes in the scratchy thing, so that you can try it for 15 days or a month. The teacher. Okay, so you can use the LMS to teach flipped classrooms. You can. Actually, you flip the classroom using the LMS, Michael. How be? You can, let's say you're using Touchstone in class to keep with this example. Finish Unit 4 and you tell your students, okay, so before next class, before we meet again, you go and you are going to study the vocabulary or the grammar for Unit 5. This flipping the classroom in that they would be learning some content at home, and then when they get to you, you would be just doing, checking to see if they have questions, checking to see where the problems are, and then getting them to use everything that they learn in Touchstone Online. Make sure you contact me. No writing, but I just encourage you to jot anything you want to remember from this session today. Thank you all. Thank you very much for listening and participating. Here's my contact information. If you know more about Touchstone or about LMSs or flipped classrooms or anything that we talked about here today, feel free to write to me or to call me. I stay in Rio de Janeiro, but I go to many other cities in Rio. It was a pleasure. If there's need, feel free. Can you all see my email address here? And so to have you all. Thank you, Michael, Melina, Danubia, Sylvia. It's to have you participating. I hope it was helpful for you. Feel free to contact me if there's anything you want to know more of, or you want to online second edition. Thank you. It's a pleasure. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.